Welcome back to another Gumloop tutorial. In today's tutorial, we are going to take a look at the extract data node. All right, so diving in, let's go ahead and find the extract data node. To do that, obviously we can search all nodes, or if we go into the core nodes or the using AI nodes here, we can scroll down up here at the top. Go to the top here and we can select the extract data node. So before we look at our two use cases for this, let's go ahead and break down the parts of this node. We can look at the top here. We can see that the base credit cost of this node is 2. If we have the API key plugged in, our own API keys, that is just a single credit. And then if we are utilizing the advanced or the expert models, the advanced is 20, 30 for the expert. And it looks like they're adding in deep research models as well for 100 credits. We can turn on loop mode, so if we're passing a lot of data, multiple different items, a list of things that we're trying to extract data from. Maybe it's a list of emails or a list of submissions that were all just done as raw text fields and not broken into a Google Sheet or something like that. For whatever reason, we could extract that data. And so this first item here is the text in which we are going to actually be trying to extract the data from. This next field here is optional, but it's additional context. So maybe we could say like, hey, this is, an email or whatever this is, and we want to pull data out of this because of this reason or whatever. Again, if this is a list and we need to extract a list of stuff, so maybe we were given a raw text, a Google document, let's say, and it just has row upon row of names with additional details or whatever, and we want to pull all that. We want to pull each of those out. We want to create a list of people to format a table, a table or something like that, a Google Sheet, whatever. We could extract all this as a list, and we'd get a list of each of our data objects. The next part down here is the data that we're looking to extract from the text. And so this could be something like name, or it could be emails, or it could be, an amount of dollars or whatever it is, right? And we can name that, and that'll be the name in which we can use later on as an output. So keep that in mind. We can extract this as text, number, or a boolean right now. And then the description, this is going to help the AI understand what this data is supposed to be and how it's supposed to find it within the content that we're extracting from. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. And then we can always add more data. So as many things as we need to extract from it, we can add more and more. And then the model, all the use cases that I'm going to show you today, we use the 4.1 mini. It's a basic standard model, so it's only going to cost the 2 credits to utilize this every single time. And again, if this is on loop mode, it's going to be 2 for every single time it has to loop through this entire node. So just keep that in mind. And if we go to show more options here, we can cache a response so that we can use that later in the sequence if we need to. And then the temperature is basically going to, typically you're going to probably keep this as like a 1. Maybe you could come up with a use case of why you want this to be a 0 and create more random responses. But basically we want it to be pretty focused on extracting this data. And then we can configure the input so we can dynamically select the model preference. Say this was built into an interface and we want to give the interface the ability to change between GPT 4.1 mini and GPT 4.5, which I think is like an advanced model or something like that. We could do that. So someone in the interface might be able to say, this is a pretty complex document. Let's give it a little bit better of an AI. And we could show that as an input that we could pass to this. Same along with temperature. You might come up with a use case for that. And then, that's the basics of this extract data node. So let's go ahead and dive into our first use case. So this workflow might look a little familiar from the interface tutorial as well as the PDF reader tutorial. In this here, we are passing in an invoice. PDF invoice and from the interface, and we are getting some data, or we're making the PDF reader read that data and then give us a text block of all the data that is included in that PDF invoice. And then we're going to pass it to this data extractor so that we can, I probably put this on a Google Sheet or an Airtable or whatever we're going to do, right? So after we've passed the data out of the PDF reader and into the content to extract from, right, this large text block, I'm going to give it the additional context. So this is a content from a PDF invoice, and try to find the company name that sent the invoice and the total amount due. So that's the additional context that I'm giving to the AI in this case, so that it kind of understands what the content is that it was receiving and what I want from it. I don't need a list in this here because it's just one invoice. So there's only going to be one company that sent it, and there's only going to be one total amount due, that final amount, right? So we can see that I set the data object up of company. This is a type text, and the descriptor for this is the name of the company that sent the invoice, right? So this might be found in the header, this might be found on a line somewhere in like a description or something like that, or a from field, whatever. Maybe the billing address. There's a lot of stuff that this can pull from. Basically, this allows it to understand what I'm trying to find and give me that value. And then the invoice amount. I could set this could be a text or this could be a number based on what you want to do with it. For now, let's just do number. And then the description is this is the total amount due for this invoice. So on this invoice, I might have multiple different line items for work that was done or whatever. But for this use case, I'm only interested in that final number. What is the final amount that is due on this invoice? And then you can see that I've selected the 4.1 mini model, and you can see the outputs here as the data objects that we set up for extraction. So this is the first use case scenario. And this is just a quick little scenario that I set up just to kind of show how this stuff works. Let's go ahead and move on to an actual use case, which you'll recognize from some of our other tutorials here. This is the one that we actually use. Basically, as emails come in, we check our HubSpot account to see if that email is from an existing customer. And if so, we want to add a ticket to their account to show that we had some conversations with this customer, and it helps our AI bots create better drafts for automated responses to their email inquiries. And then same thing, if this is a email from a non-existent customer, we need to know that as well. We can make it do some additional stuff on the back end there. And so one of the things that we need to do, and why the data extractor is useful in this sort of case, is when an email comes in, there's a couple different things that we want to pull out in the case that the emails from someone that is not in our HubSpot, right? And we want to add that person to our HubSpot. So we need to format our data correctly to get into HubSpot. And a couple of the pieces that we need is the first name and a last name. And so most of the time when you are getting an email, you might receive two things where you could find this information. One is the sender display name, which could be the first name only, might be the last name only, might be the first and last name, depending on how the sender has their display name set up. It might not be their name at all, it might be a company name or whatever. But it could be included in this. And if it is, it would all be in one giant text field. So we can't dynamically put that straight into a HubSpot form yet. The other places it could be is just within the email body. They might say something at the top of the email like, hey, this is so and so. I'm reaching out because of whatever. And again, it's just in a raw text field. We can't just pull that data out dynamically and add that right into a HubSpot field. We got to extract that data. Could also be within the signature line of that email where it says, so and so CEO of whatever. And so we can find that information. So we pass both of these likely places where we might find that data within the email body, and we can pass it into the extract data. And so you can see that I have the sender display name here with the output from that sender display name input or output in this case, and then the email body where we are passing in the email body content, right? And so the additional context. Find the first and last name of the sender of the email if possible. That's what I have. And so it's going to find something and put it in there. This could, in theory, be wrapped in an air shield, and we'll get to air shields later on in a different tutorial. But most of the time, it's probably going to find something to be able to put something in the first and last name slots here. Especially if this is from a new customer and or a brand new person reaching out, they're usually going to include their name in an email. Again, we don't need a list because it's just one person. We're looking for just the sender. So an email isn't sent by multiple people usually. So we're trying to just find that one sender. And we're looking for the sender first name. I didn't include any description for this because it's pretty basic. And I'm using that basic 4.1 mini model. It's fast and it seems to be pretty reliable and one of the cheaper options as well. But that's the only data that we're extracting. And as we output this, we then first we update a uh, the Google Sheet, which kind of temporarily houses a lot of this data um, for us. We have this Google Sheet is just kind of like a temporary um, data storage while we're working with the data throughout all these workflows here as like a redundancy. And then, but yeah, you can see that in the sender first name, we put that in there and the sender last name, which allows us now to go to the save new email HubSpot. And basically now when we go to create that HubSpot contact, we have the first name and the last name pulled out as a usable data object that we can put in there. And we're not putting, first name, last name, or something like that and having a weird contact being created within our HubSpot account. So this just kind of keeps our data cleaned up. So two very useful examples of how and when to use the extract data node. If you have any questions or comments or ideas around how to use the extract data node and you want to talk about them, go down to the comments. Feel free to type those out. I'll do my best to answer any questions you have or help you overcome any roadblocks or challenges you're having with the node. Or you can always go to my website, www.exemplarlabs.com, and you can drop me a line. We can connect offline and I can help you work through those things, build out workflows for you, whatever it is that you might need. So yeah, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this video and the rest of the series, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye.